I'm back in the shed after what I would call a relatively successful test drive. Been around the block in it, goes, turns, stops, none of which are particularly exciting, but plenty of room for improvement. I'm going to tackle this wiring problem. Something is going on here. I've just unwrapped a bit of it. When I push on this part of the coil, I lose several cylinders on this bank, so I think it's either a common power or earth wire that's not good here. The actual earth has a split in the coating, but nothing that I think would be a problem. Right, not the problem anyway. I mean, I'm going to fix it, but it's not what's causing this. So I don't know what's going on there. I need to do the air filter. So turbo's going to have to come out for that anyway, because I need to cut this hole a little bit bigger just to get an air filter underneath. And I want to put the muffler in now because it's way too loud, and I can't hear if there's any other problems happening because it's just loud. So those are the next things on the agenda. Alright, so I've given up with this plug and just chopped it off. The problem is somewhere here. I'm going to focus. I'm going to try and take this apart further. You can see the earth wire there. The coating is off, but it's an earth, so that shouldn't really matter. The wire itself doesn't appear to be broken. I've given all of these a solid tug. They're all connected. The multimeter doesn't see anything wrong, but the problem is there, and I've confirmed it by splicing in a new one. I've just run the car with that and jiggled it around a bit, and nothing, no dropouts at all on that bank anymore. So the problem is definitely this plug, definitely the part that I've chopped off, and now it's just a matter of working out where, because I'm curious. It's going to have to remain a mystery, I think, or an assumption. I've pulled all the wires out of the plug, and I've stripped back the insulation as far back as I can, and none of them are broken. They're all crimped really well. The only thing I can think of is maybe the little spring tab at the end here is bent back too far, so it's not actually, it's sort of floating on the pin. It's not making contact. But either way, it's fixed. So I was just curious for a more definitive answer. Guys that are having issues fitting their air filters on their S400 turbo LS builds, typically in a Commodore, this is my solution. It's a rubber Cobra head adapter, they call it, from intakehoses.com. 5 inches on the top, 4 inches on the bottom, and it's flared out so it doesn't reduce volume. Not that it would matter too much, but it's nice to know that they've designed it that way on purpose. This is slim enough that you can fit it on the front of the turbo in a Commodore and cut a hole and run a big filter below, instead of having a tiny little filter on the front of your turbo and restricting its airflow significantly. It's a really good solution, and I wish more people would do it. Here it is installed. See, it fits perfectly on the turbo side. I need probably another centimetre to get that light to fully seat. So it's just hitting the body here. So there'll be a little bit I can trim away here. I don't need all of that plastic. A lot of it is just to hold the rubber seal, and that can go in further as long as it's still somewhere for the actual seal to hold, otherwise it'll get water in it. Not that I'm really worried about that, but it'd be nice to have it right. And then just extend the hole on the bottom, filter below, job done. Here's the neck in place without the headlight installed. You can see how, well, obviously I'm going to have to extend that hole, not a surprise there, but you can see how well this fits on the S400 style turbo and how much space it would save. So for a Commodore guy, you've got that room. My space restraints are a bit tighter than on a Commodore, but you can see how that would work. Taking a few more measurements of this, I could safely take off almost half an inch of this before it has any problems. So I've just done a texture width, which is about 1/4. I'm going to grind that back, and that'll have a pretty straight line, and I'll give that a test. Okay, first mock-up attempt with a spare light and a spare globe. I've just clocked the compressor housing right over to the side and put the rubber Cobra head on here with a little trim. That will work. The globe itself has to be modified for clearance. It's tight as they're not a huge fan of it, but that might be the best I can do. Alternative plans is I could take this and turn it almost 90 degrees and come through the guard and then put a bend, but I don't think I'm going to have enough room to do a 4-inch bend in there. So that might be a problem. I could still take another 5mm or so off here, which will give the globe clearance so I don't need to modify it. That's probably better. I took too much off the housing, but as I said, this is a spare light. It's full of rust, so I don't care about this one. But yeah, it's going to be pretty tight. Onto some wiring now, and what better place to start than the old dash cluster here. I've put a 4-pin DTM plug on here. I had 3 pins coming out from the speedo converter box that my dad made, but I didn't have any 3-pin plugs, so I figured I need one for the tacho anyway, so I may as well just loop that into there, and then I've got full use of the 4-pin plug, and I don't have to dick around with that when I'm plugging it in. So to plug in this cluster now, I've got that, which is speed and tack. I've got this, which is primary function, and we've got this one here. That's it. So I should be able to fumble around behind the dash and plug that in. I haven't filmed doing that because nobody cares about wiring videos, as was evident with my last wiring video, and I've done the same at the other end inside the dash. So I'll go ahead and plug this in now. Alright, I'll cobble together a new center section for the exhaust, adding a flex and a resonator in the front now. Yes, this was stainless. I've welded it with MIG wire very badly, but I don't care, it'll do. I can always change it later. Alright, there's the new exhaust all boogered together. So this is the second half of the dump pipe, comes down, cat converter sits under the torque converter, then a resonator, so V-band here, and then a flex section, and then back to the existing rear section of the exhaust. So it looks like it's going to fit. It's very tight, but there's not much room for a big exhaust under a 240, so let's put it in and see if it sounds any different. Alright, everything's back in. Time to fire up the exhaust and see if it was all worth it. That's it for this weekend. It's running pretty well. The exhaust is much the same at idle, but when you give it a rev, it's heaps quieter than it used to be, which is nice. I've gone for a test drive, as you've seen. It's all working. The transmission's still not 100%. I think I've got a problem with an intermediate sprag, but I'm going to have to pull it apart to work that out, and I really don't want to at the moment, so I'm just going to sit on that and work on the rest of it. But yeah, there we go. Alright, I don't know when the next video will be, hopefully within the next fortnight, but subscribe anyway and you'll be the first to see it. Thanks all. Oh yeah.